Well, good morning. It's Friday morning at 10 to 10. I am here inside again. You know, it's a gorgeous day, beautiful day yesterday. Both days. Yesterday I spent the entire day in here from morning up until late in the evening updating website articles that the video that took me 12 hours to edit point to. And I'm doing the same thing today. Except I'm going to try to finish up a little bit early because there's a couple other things I need to do. So this takes time also, along with the video editing, to do this other stuff. So there's, you know, this is a job for me, okay? This is what I do for a living, so I've got to put a lot of time and effort into it to make a decent living from it, right? It's like any other job that people do that they want to be good at. You have to spend time doing it to put out the best product that you possibly can. So I apply that to everything I do. I don't try to, you know, I really don't want to put out low quality of anything, right? Whether it's the project itself, I always want to make sure that, first of all, it works. That's the main thing. So I always make a project that works, or if it doesn't work, I tell you up front, right? Like that glass cutting thing didn't work the way I wanted it to, but I tried it. So first thing, it should work. Other thing is that it should be efficient to do. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste anybody else's time messing around doing unnecessary stuff. So I put extra thinking time into everything that I do to try to make the project more efficient in that way. Now, a lot of people don't see that, and I think that a lot of them don't appreciate it either because they see that as a shortcut. They want to do it the hard way. Well, I mean, doing it the hard way has some, you know, validity, but for the most part, if you're doing something for the shop, or even for inside your house that's pretty much purely utilitarian, then you don't need to put those extra time-wasting features into them. Like, you know, dovetailing a drawer together that is in your shop. That's just a show-off thing, that's all. So anyway, getting back on track, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, which I'm prone to do. This is the job that I do. I make my living from it, so I want to be putting out the best thing I can. So I spend a lot of time doing it, and I spend a lot of time making myself better at it. I'm already very good at the woodworking aspect of it. So all this other stuff that has come along, I've been refining over the last 7 years. I'm at the point now where I'm fairly efficient at what I do. I can edit videos very quickly, as long as I was careful enough while filming them not to make too many mistakes. See, video making is two parts, okay? It's the filming of it in the shop, and then it's to bring it in here and edit it so you wind up with something that's worth watching. And that's what I want to be making, is something that's worth watching. So the more mistakes I make out in the shop, the more I have to mess around in here to fix those mistakes. And usually the mistakes I make are with saying something wrong, or saying something, because you could be standing there talking about something and use the wrong fucking word. Say the project is a clamp, and you're supposed to be talking about the handle, and you'll say screw. So you got to try to fix that somehow. And usually what I do is I go back out into the shop and set up the camera in the exact same position that I set it. And I re-record that section, and I bring it in here, and I try to splice it underneath and line it up as best I can. And usually that goes pretty well. Other times I'll try to look for a way to cut that part out. But that doesn't always work because, I mean, you're talking about something, so that's fairly important. So I'm going to try to get back on track again and talk about what this video is actually about. A lot of it is from the comments that I was getting on the last video. I think 4 or 5 times I got comments from people saying that I should, you know, hire somebody to do the video editing. Well, see, that's a problem because video editors, good ones, make a lot of money. And I make money from this, but I can't afford to pay somebody to do the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And another thing about video editing, if I let somebody else edit my videos, they would not look like my videos. I'm not claiming any grand, unique style here, but there would definitely be differences between my video that someone else edited and what I did. And then not to mention that I make build videos, so the person that edits the video has to be intimately familiar with the project itself. They have to know how much of each step or each clip to put into the video and how to, set that up. It would result in a completely different thing if your editor is not in tune with that. So that would be a problem. Even if I did find somebody to edit cheaply, then I would have to spend probably as much time again explaining to them how everything would go together, and then checking the work and rechecking and rechecking. It's just as easy to do it myself. So the other common comment I got was on the gear that I use, my computer and my editing software. The editing software, I talked about that before, is DaVinci Resolve. I know that people say that Adobe Premiere is better, but the thing I've got against that is it's a monthly fee for it. And there's no way I'm doing that. I don't believe in that kind of thing. You buy the software and you use it. And if you want to upgrade, you upgrade. If you don't want to upgrade, you don't upgrade. And that's what I have here with DaVinci Resolve. I have the studio version, which is the better version. It opens up a lot of the features of the program. It allows me to use 2 graphics cards instead of 1 to really up the performance of what I'm able to do. At this point, the computer hardware that I have is absolutely no bottleneck for what I'm doing here now. It'll probably come as a surprise to a lot of people that I have more money put into the gear that I use to make video than I have in shop tools. And I do believe it includes the work I did on the shop as well. I've spent a lot of money on gear. And I believe that if you want to be doing this at a higher level, you have to spend the money to buy the stuff to do it. In the woodworking world, you have hobbyists and you have professionals. I consider my workshop out there hobby, okay? I'm not using my workshop to create items to make money from. And so that's a hobby thing. I'm not saying amateur, I'm saying hobby. That's my hobby out there, actually. This in here, I'm creating products that I make money from. So this is the professional side of things. This is the production part. This is where you would spend your money. Whereas if you had a production shop, you would be buying huge machines to speed up, your processes and all that. Let's talk about human nature for a few minutes. I can't say that this exactly applies to women, but it really applies to men. And that's when you say something to a man, they immediately, I think that the first thought process that goes through a man's head is that they take what you said and they try to compare it with their own experiences. And if they have any similar experiences, then they'll talk about that. You've all probably experienced that, talking to someone, say your neighbor, you're talking about your grass, and then your neighbor starts going off about his grass. And then it's kind of almost like a pissing contest. Who has the best grass? And then if you go to your neighbor and you tell them that you have a problem with your grass, then your neighbor has got a whole laundry list of helpful suggestions that you can use to improve your grass. And that's a typical response for most men when you say something like that. They immediately try to solve your problem. Even if it's not a problem that they're able to solve, they're going to try to help you solve it. This video is probably going to be pretty cut up because I'm all over the place, but I do want to get some stuff off my chest. This is almost like therapy for me. I'm giving into the consensus here that I'm under some sort of massive stress or something because I'm sitting in front of the computer for 12 hours editing something. that's not new. That's, you know, people work at stuff for 12 hours a day. You know, this is a job, but I've had worse jobs, believe me. I'd much rather sit in this chair with my feet up, my shorts on, sitting in front of these for a few hours than out shoveling mud, because I've done that. Out tying rebar mats in minus 20 Celsius temperatures with the wind howling. And the Brazilian guy that I was working with was telling me about his first encounter with cold here in Canada. He thought that the pain he was feeling in his hands was some kind of disease that he picked up here, which I found kind of interesting because he had never experienced cold in his lifetime before. So I've experienced cold, and I've experienced, you know, working the shitty jobs, and this is far from it. I am totally at peace here with what I'm doing. I'm completely happy with it. When I set up the camera to talk about editing a video for 12 hours, it's not to complain about it. It's not to say, look at how hard I've got it. It's to clue you guys into how much work is involved in all of this, because people think that it's a breeze. People think that it's a snap. You know, you just film a video, man. You know, slap it in the old video editor there, and out poops a fucking finished video. It's not as simple as that. And that's what I was trying to get across. But it doesn't matter what you try to get across on the internet, whether you type it or whether you speak it, people will still misunderstand it, or misinterpret it, I should say. A lot of people just read the first few lines, and then their mind immediately goes into what I was talking about before, where they're, you know, checking the Rolodex for their own experience with that, so they can make a comparison and possibly give some good advice on it.